Okay, so this current code we're looking at is just over 5,000 tokens. The ChatGPT 4.0 is able to generate more than 16,000 tokens. When we try to update these 5000 tokens, it cannot return the whole thing. It's, 5000. Okay, so the question is, do we need to apply it to some of the code only? If that makes sense. And we're still using 4.0 because I'm pretty sure it should be able to handle this. Nothing too complicated. Okay, so this is better, but not perfect, obviously. So we still have the styling. And the components of the HTML selected. Okay, wait, I think we're having an issue with the absolute position because we also have a label and a menu on top of the page. Can you address that somehow?
Made changes.
Okay, this is much better. Can we make the insertion metric chart panel, whatever canvas, a bit bigger when loading the page?
Made changes.
Yeah, so this is nice. This is very nice. So we're saving that. That's a working version, so we'll have a copy of it as well. Just in case, but there's a couple of few things that we want to improve. We are having trouble sometimes grabbing the electrode array. I guess it's because there is actually nothing between the electrode contacts. Can you explain that?
The issue you're describing likely stems from how raycasting works in 3.js. Raycasting is used to detect intersections between a ray, emitted from the camera or mouse position, and objects in the 3D scene. If there's nothing between the electrode contacts, the rings, the raycaster won't detect any intersections in those areas, making it difficult to interact with the electrode array. Why this happens? In your code, the raycaster is set up to detect intersections with objects in the pick_objects array, which includes the electrode rings array, the silicon carrier.
Okay, but we already added the silicon carrier, but for whatever reason, it was added to the cochlea itself and not the electrode array. Can you explain which one is which?
In your code, the silicone carrier and the electrode array are two distinct components of the cochlear implant simulation. Let me break them down. 1. Silicone carrier. The silicone carrier is a transparent tube that represents the flexible structure.
Okay, that's fine, but can you explain why the carrier was added to the cochlea structure as opposed to the electrode array?
The silicone carrier was added to the cochlea structure instead of the electrode array because it is designed to represent the physical structure that houses and supports the electrode array during insertion. Here's why this makes sense. Purpose of the carrier.
No, wait, that doesn't make sense. The silicone, whatever structure, was meant to be around the electrode contacts, not the entire cochlea. Does it make any sense?
Made changes.
Okay, what did it make changes for? That doesn't make any sense. So we're having trouble grabbing grabbing the electrode array because let's see, the raycaster is picking the silicon carrier instead of the rings. What was it? No. because there's nothing between the rings. Seem to understand. Yeah, there's a problem. Okay, a thin wire. Well, there are wires. Well, no, we were talking about a sheath. A sheath to the rings to the raycaster can hit something. Does that make any sense? Yeah, currently the silicon carrier is over the cochlea and not the rings. Yeah, need to move the carrier to be over the rings. The rings are not in the right position. The rings are not. No, that's fine. And the thing is, okay, let's actually, yeah, bring back the chat. Chat. Let's see, this is 4 also, it should be quick. Yeah, essentially we're having, when we move the electrode array, it should just move up and down instead of the panning functionality. Okay, so if we select the whole code and click apply, so it's applying the code block using Copilot. Is it actually doing anything useful? Any questions are welcome, by the way. There is a human in the loop. If there's no human, we can show it to one of the AIs. Let's do AI Studio, because we can share the screen with that one. We'll get a better idea. Stream. Share screen. We're sharing that particular page. Yeah, okay, what do you currently see on the screen? What do you currently see on the screen?
I see a simulation of a cochlear implant insertion. The simulator shows a graph with depth, force, and speed metrics, and it looks like the user is dragging an electrode array into a cochlea model. The depth is changing, and the force fluctuates as the array is inserted. Does that description match your understanding?
Yes, we're actually trying to improve it a bit. But yes, you
How are
are
you
correct.
How do you plan to improve the cochlear implant insertion simulator?
Well, it's running on our website.
Will users be able to access the simulator directly through the website, or is it primarily for internal testing and development?
No, ideally, if everything works, they will be able to access it on the website.
That's great. What kind of improvements are you hoping to make to the simulator before making it available on the website?
Let's see. Well, yeah, you added another sheaf of it. So we have a developer trying to improve the code, but it's getting confused. It keeps adding like carriers. We're trying to add a carrier over the electrode array ring contacts, but it's getting confused and keeps adding something, a silicon, something around the whole cochlear structure. Can you try and explain that?
It seems that your developer is working on adding a silicone carrier around the cochlear structure in the simulation. It looks like you are inserting and retracting the electrode array to test out how the silicone impacts the simulated insertion process. Does that align with what you are trying to achieve?
No, not really. Wait a sec. So, do you see the ring electrode contacts?
Yes, I see the ring electrode contacts displayed on the simulation. What about them are you trying to improve?
So currently they don't have anything in between connecting them. So I'm having trouble to actually select the electrode array.
It appears you want to add something between the electrode rings to make them easier to select in the simulation. Would this addition be part of the electrode design itself?
Well, no, ideally we could, one way to go about it, well, I guess there would be multiple ways to solve it. One way is, yeah, adding something between the electrodes. Another way is just adding like a silicone, like a semi-transparent something around the electrode contact so I can grab the whole thing at once.
Okay, so it sounds like you're considering adding a semi-transparent silicone material around the electrode contacts to create a larger, easier to grab surface for manipulating the electrode array in the simulator. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And we have another professional JavaScript developer. So if you can provide instructions for them, that would be great.
Got it. To provide clear instructions for adding a semi-transparent silicone material around the electrode contacts, could you please describe what specific actions or steps you would like the professional JavaScript developer to take within the current simulation environment?
Well, essentially, we want to be able to select to click and move the electrode array easier. So for doing that, we need something around it that we can grab. Something visible is fine.
Okay, you're looking for a feature that adds something around each electrode so it's easier to click and move the array. Would you want that something to be a visible, grabbable element?
Yeah, it should be over all of the electrodes, so they look more like one silicon array with electrode contacts. Do you understand what I mean?
To clarify, you would like the JavaScript developer to create a feature that makes the electrode array look like a single silicone piece with electrode contacts, so it's easier to select and manipulate as a whole. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I understand. So the request is for the JavaScript developer to modify the simulation so that the electrode array appears as one single silicone array with electrode contacts to make it easier to select and move. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding this simulation?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Give me a sec. So we had, Gemini. It's 2.0. Now the question is, who is a better developer? Let's go with 3.7 Sonnet Thinking. Start a new chat. Have the whole code selected. It's only 5,000 tokens. This code should be fairly straightforward. And we have this prompt. Modify the simulation so that the electrode array appears as one single silicon array with electrode contacts to make it easier to select and move. And that kind of makes sense, except it might actually remove the electrode contacts, and we'll see how we go. Interior would just could add something. What are you talking about? No, we're not creating an I think, was it Cloud Sonnet? No. And let's try O4 Mini. We have the code selected. Only 5,000 tokens. Determining user intent. So it's using the correct reference. What are you talking about? Yeah, let's do it over here. Let's close it for a sec. Selecting our code, Control I. Let's do 4.0. Should be a simple task. Let's do explain how. So you added a JavaScript code. It's like, no, we're not doing that. Yeah, let's add it to chat. Add selection to chat. We already have it in the chat. Hey, we have O4 Mini. Let's go for the big guns. There's no O3. Let's do O3 as well. Oh, come on. So it's supposedly the best model we've got. That should go into the canvas. Someone just called me a bro. That's nice. But that might be not the right age. Okay, let's do both O4 mini. This is not to be confused with O4 mini high, which meant to be great at coding and visual reasoning. Wow. In this case, if it's able to generate the whole code, yeah, that is the silicon carrier, meant to be a mesh over the electrode arrays. It's actually going for the whole thing. Can we preview it over here? Yes, we can. It's actually made it. Yay. Okay, so now we're meant to be grabbing. Okay, why is it so huge though? That should be easy to fix. Okay, so O3 is the killer robot. It's able to do what we asked for. Let's actually start a new. How do you do that? Okay, what do you currently see on the screen?
Okay, I see a screen with multiple windows open. On the left, there's a window with a chat interface, possibly from a large language model,
Yeah, don't worry
discussing
about the chat. Don't
modifications.
worry about the chat interface. Just focus on the right side of the screen.
Okay, focusing on the right side of the screen, I see a cochlear implant insertion simulator. There's a graph labeled insertion metrics showing depth, force, and speed. Below the graph, there is a visual representation of what seems to be a cochlear implant being inserted. I can also see some metrics on the right, including depth, force, and a safe to insert indicator. Anything else you would like me to focus on or describe?
What's currently is moving exactly? What is this called? What is being moved?
From what I see, it looks like the gray, segmented structure at the bottom of the simulation is moving upwards towards the spiral. Based on the context, this is probably the cochlear implant being inserted.
Yeah, so this is the electrode array, but why is it? Can we instruct? So we have another developer, ChatGPT 03, doing the JavaScript and the HTML development. So can we instruct them to actually correct the radius of the silicon sleeve, the sheath that is currently over the electrode contacts?
I see. So you're asking if the simulation could be modified to adjust the radius of the silicone sleeve that covers the electrode contacts. This sounds like a specific request for the developers of the simulator. Is there anything specific about how you'd like the radius to be adjusted, or what outcome you're hoping for by making this adjustment?
Well, it'd probably be just as wide as the rings, the ring electrode contacts themselves.
Okay, so you're suggesting that the silicone sleeve should be as wide as the ring electrode contacts themselves. So the silicone covers all the rings, correct?
Yeah, that's actually a good prompt. Let's do that. Yep, that one. The silicon sleeve should be as wide as the ring electrodes contacts themselves, so the silicon covers all the rings, but not too wide. Could have done it ourselves, couldn't we? But yeah, probably don't need all three. All three is an overkill, isn't it? Which model should we be using? Well, 4 mini high is great at coding and visual reasoning, so that's probably be the next prompt, Viv. Another thing is, so do you see how there is a menu and a title on the page, and then the graph is actually overlaying that? How would you instruct the developer to fix that? Can the chart be just at the top of the relative to the canvas as opposed to the page?
Okay. So it sounds like you want the graph to be fixed to the canvas rather than the page itself. I'd suggest instructing the developer to adjust the positioning of the graph element using CSS, setting its position property to fixed, and then using the top, left, right, and bottom properties to place it appropriately within the canvas. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds great. It added some sort of unidentified object for whatever reason, and it was all three. It stuffed something up. Yeah, it's very promising, but do. Right. Okay, so we have a different thing running on the local server. It's the one without the sheaf over the electrode contacts. But supposedly if we apply that to the code, let's see. No one actually knows how these models work, I believe. What's that called? A carrier. Where is it? Now, O4Mini decided to redo the whole code. It's actually generated the whole thing. Now the shifted carrier still seem to be over. No, you didn't do the right thing, did you? Okay, that carrier. It should be much come on. Carrier. It's shocking me it can't search the canvas. This is hopeless. Stop, move it back. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get the code. Okay, we have the carrier, and that's what's pickable. Pickable is a good word. That's what's pickable. Okay, I can make it double. Sorry, half, meant half. Right, it's more like it. Let's make it 1.5. It's actually nice. Let's do 1.3. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. Okay, can you see what was changed? Can you comment on what was changed?
Okay, I'm looking at the video. It appears the silicone sleeve now matches the width of the ring electrode contacts. It covers all the rings, but is not too wide. Am I missing any other changes?
Wait a second, I'm not sure you're looking at the correct window.
My apologies. Looking at the correct window now, it looks like the entire array appears as a single silicone carrier that allows the user to select and move as one unit. Is that right?
That's correct. And the electrode contacts themselves are a bit wider, so it actually, what would that mimic? What would that mean?
If the electrode contacts are a bit wider, that could mimic a real-world scenario where there's a slightly increased surface area for electrical stimulation. Does this increased width affect the impedance or current density during the simulation?
Right, it's actually a really good idea. Can you elaborate on that? How would you include that in the simulation?
One way to elaborate on that would be to incorporate a calculation of the electrode tissue interface impedance based on the contact area. You could then model how the current spreads from the electrode into the surrounding tissue, taking into account the conductivity of the tissue and the geometry of the electrode. Are there any other ways I can help?
No, you actually got a really good idea there. Can you keep elaborating on that? And how would you change the current simulation? Like, how would you make it better?
To further elaborate and enhance the current simulation, you could incorporate factors like the tonotopic organization of the cochlea to mimic how different frequencies are processed, and also add the impact of different pulse shapes on neural stimulation. Would you like me to elaborate
Yeah,
on these ideas?
wouldn't that be a separate simulation though? Or how would you include it in this one? Or would you rather have another simulation for that? Can you elaborate?
That's a good point. To keep the insertion simulation focused, you could create a separate module or view within the existing simulation to explore the impact of different pulse shapes and tonotopic organization. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. But can we stick to this one for now? We actually want to publish it for the user so they're able to play with. But can you just elaborate on the instruction and the overview? We need to instruct another copywriter to write the instructions and overview for this web app.
Certainly, some ideas for improving the instructions and overview for the web app include 1. Clarify the purpose. Start by clearly stating the simulation's purpose, which is to demonstrate cochlear implant electrode array insertion into a cochlea model and visualize the depth, force, and speed of insertion. 2. Explain key elements. Describe the different parts of the simulation, such as the electrode array, the cochlea model, and the insertion metrics graph. Explain what each of these elements represents and how they relate to the simulation. 3. Guide the interaction. Provide clear instructions on how to interact with the simulation. Tell users how to insert or retract the array. Make sure the user knows they can drag vertically on the electrode rings or anywhere along the clear silicone carrier. Is there anything else I can help with right now?
No, not really. This is great. Not sure. How do you... There is this edits. that GitHub Copilot have made, but I'm not able to turn it to. It's weird, I can't actually accept. I cannot accept those. BPP. Anyway, and if everything we make is eventually available on this website, go check it out. Let me know if there's any questions. There is a human in the loop. We're jumping around between different models, different agents. So I'm quite happy with this one. Let's take a short break. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, what do you see on the screen? Quickly. On the canvas.
Okay, I see a cochlear implant insertion simulator. I can see a graph with depth, force, and speed metrics, a 3D model of a cochlear implant, and instructions on how to use the simulator. Anything else you'd like me to focus on?
What's happening now?
I see that the cochlear implant is being inserted into the simulated cochlea. The depth is increasing, and I see that the force and speed metrics are changing on the graph as well.
If you had to add a play button, what do you think it will do?
Since the simulation appears to be paused, if you were to add a play button, I think it would likely resume the insertion of the cochlear implant into the simulated cochlea. Do you want to add a play button and see what happens?
Okay, we'll actually make a copy for it. So we have all the JavaScript and HTML code for it, which we'll be sharing on our website. I'll just make a copy. And yes, we would like to add a play button. So currently I'm controlling it using the mouse, grabbing the electrode array and moving it in and out of the cochlea. But then we'll like a play button that will do it for me. And when the user grabs...
Thanks for clarifying. The user is grabbing what appears to be the electrode array, and the speed, force, and depth metrics are updating on the graph. Is there anything specific you'd like me to observe?
I would like to add, I would like instructions for a JavaScript HTML developer to have a play button.
Okay, I understand. You'd like instructions for a JavaScript HTML developer to add a play button to this cochlear implant insertion simulator. Since I cannot provide you with those specific instructions, I would recommend looking at the instructions at the bottom of the screen. There is also an overview that might have information to help you.
How would you add the play functionality to the simulation?
To add play functionality to the simulation, I would implement a play/pause button that starts or stops the automatic insertion of the electrode array. Here's the step-by-step plan. Add a play/pause button. Add a button to the
Okay, so this is what I don't understand. So it generated, it just addressed the specific comment and generated like 90 lines of code. But the original code is much longer. Like 500 lines of code. So now the question is, what happens if I apply the edits? Yes, so that's not good. Okay, how to do it step by step? Can we modify the code step by step, one thing at a time?
Sure, let's proceed step by step. We'll start by adding a play/pause button to the HTML interface.
Okay, so if I select the whole code, do apply, surely it will not just copy it, it will actually apply it to the code. Can you comment what do you see on the screen right now, especially on the left side?
On the left side of the screen, I see a simulator with a graph depicting insertion metrics like depth, force, and speed. Below that, there are instructions and an overview of the simulator. Is there something specific you'd like me to focus on within that area?
Yeah, wait a second. So modify the code. Yeah, this is something I don't get. So we applied the modification, and it should be, we're trying to add a play button. Didn't actually do the editing. Nope. Having trouble. Okay, can you also comment what's happening on the right side of the screen?
On the right side of the screen, I see code, specifically HTML and CSS, related to the cochlear simulation project. The HTML appears to define the structure of the simulation, and the CSS is likely for styling the elements on the page. Is there a specific section of the code you'd like me to comment on?
Hey, can you explain this drop down, drop up?
The Ask Copilot section at the bottom appears to be a drop-up menu with a few options listed: GPT-4 Turbo, GPT 4.1, O3 Preview, and O4 Preview. Is there anything specific about these options you would like me to explain?
Wait, can you specify what the options are exactly?
In the Ask Copilot drop-up menu, the options listed are Claude 3 Sonnet, Claude 3 Sonnet Thinking, Gemini 2.0 Flash, Gemini 2.5 Pro, Preview, GPT-4 Turbo, GPT 4.1, O3 Mini Preview, and O4 Mini Preview. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding these options?
Where did you see the GPT-4o Turbo?
My apologies, I misread that. I see GPT-4 Turbo in the list. Is there something you'd like to know about that option?
Okay, that's weird. That's weird. We need to restart the Visual Studio Code quickly. Yeah, that actually did help. And then we have display controls that meant to be adding into the code. Should be pretty straightforward. Not sure why it's taking forever. That should be adding the whole thing. Okay, so I have the instructions. Okay, where did the play pause button? Yeah, the response hit the length limit, so that's what I don't understand. The whole code is about 5,000 tokens. Or 4 mini. Hey, okay, let's do edit with Copilot Gemini 2.5 Pro. We go back to the chat and we click this edit with Copilot. Seem to be editing the correct file, which is a good start. Okay, I've made 3 changes. Waiting a play button. Then we're checking if it's playing or not. And then we have a toggle play pause, which will change the depth automatically. So that looks promising. Not sure why it added this. Another file to the mix. That's weird. Okay, we have a play button. It's actually working. So what's that other file there? I think we can get rid of it. And then you can intervene. That's nice. Keep playing. So it's a robotic cochlear insertion. And if you want a human, probably be damaging the cochlea. Let's play pause. Really not sure what that file is all about. Can get rid of it. Should be an option to extract the cochlea. Edit. So it's doing something funny. Yeah. That shouldn't be there, should it? You want to expand this text. Hey, can you expand this text, making sure we're covering all the functionality and giving a general overview as well?
This HTML snippet defines a section on a web page with the ID instructions. This section is designed to inform the user about a cochlear implant insertion simulator. Let's break it down. Div. This is the main container for the
No, I meant, can we expand the text in this section?
made changes.
We're talking about the camera. Ah, no, it's actually correct. Hey, can we add styling for the play button and actually display it on top of the canvas as the graph and the HUD?
Made changes. Made changes.
Yes, it's looking really, really good. It changed stuff with my menu. Why did you do that? How did you manage to do that? Better. Okay, so everything we do available on the site, go check it out. This tool will be coming shortly as well. Consider it done. Yeah, good thumbnail. I actually use the colors for the project. See if it can do it by itself. Seem to be doing the right thing, or at least editing the correct areas of the code. Yeah, so the background. Yeah, it's not particularly better. It's not particularly better. Also, once you insert the thing, it would, well, it will be inserted. It's actually going probably too deep to the cochlea. Should be able to grab it, pull it out as well. So I have like a robotic insertion. We have to do the colors manually. Hope not. Oops. Yeah, we'll have to finish it next time. Do let me know if you have any questions, complaints, requests for the website biomedical.com or videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye. If the electrode array is not moving, how would you make it sure that the chart, the insertion matrix chart, is also paused in time?
To test the behavior of your application, including ensuring that the session metrics chart is paused when the electrode array is not moving, we can write a test file using JavaScript and a testing framework like Jasmine. Below is the plan and the corresponding test code. Plan. Set up the test environment.
Okay, this works when I move the electrode array manually, but it also should more work when the play button, when the electrode is moving automatically with the play button.
To ensure the metrics chart updates when the electrode array is moving automatically via the play button, you need to include the chart update logic in the interval function that handles the automatic movement.
to start how do we start playing the animation after the page loads?
To start playing the animation automatically after the page loads, you can call the toggle play pause function inside a window.onload event handler. This ensures that the animation starts as soon as the page finishes loading. Here,
Hey, can you explain exactly how to update the code? I want yeah, once the page is loading, start the animation, the button should be toggled as well. Yeah.
to start the animation automatically when the page loads and ensure the play/pause button reflects the correct state, you need to call the toggle play pause function after the page loads. This will start the animation and update the button's text to pause. Here's how to update your code. Steps: add a window.onload event listener to call toggle play pause after
Okay, I have to apply it to the code because I won't be able to do it myself. But yeah, but now the chart, yeah, it's behaving really, really well. Hey, no, you stuffed up my code. Go here over somewhere. It's working. I'm not sure. Could use a delay or something. So you can grab the array as well yourself, which is not entirely clear at the moment. Had to grab it once it's already in the cochlea. You can rearrange things on the page as well to your liking.